As we walk down the dungeons, this is the real dungeon in Ghana.
I never thought I would make this trip. Never. My sister and I are the first generation to make it here. And it's just truly amazing. Truly amazing.
All right, my people, it's Juneteenth, a day we commemorate as the official end of slavery in the United States. But let's keep it real, right? For most of us, Juneteenth wasn't something we grew up learning in school. It's only now getting the national spotlight it deserves. And even then, some folks still don't want to talk about it. But here on The Breakdown, we always go deeper. Because Juneteenth isn't just a date on the calendar. It's a reminder that freedom didn't come easy. And no, it didn't come full. We were freed, but not fed. Released, but not repaired. Given liberty, but left with nothing. No land, no compensation, no home. So we did what we've always done. We organized, we built, we pushed for change. That fight led us into Reconstruction, a brief but explosive period right after the Civil War where Black communities made historic gains. We were elected to public office, opened schools, bought land, built towns, and created the foundation for Black political and economic power in America. But that progress was met with rage. White supremacists, former Confederates, and the political elite couldn't stand to see Black folks rise. So they launched a violent backlash. And that ushered us into redemption, a period where white Southern Democrats vowed to redeem their states from Black political control. It wasn't just political, it was psychological warfare, Black codes, voter suppression, lynchings, and the rise of Jim Crow laws that would legalize segregation and second-class citizenship for the next 80 years, and even up until now. So while the chains had been broken, a new system was being built in real time, designed to keep us out, shut us up, and break us down. Sounds familiar? Well, today I want to ask a different kind of question, one we don't hear often in the Juneteenth conversation. Can Africa be the homeland we never got? Because for generations, Black folks have searched for a place to truly belong, a place where we don't have to shrink, we don't have to explain or apologize for who we are, a place to build, not just survive. And now, with countries like Ghana, Benin, and Sierra Leone rolling out the welcome mat for the diaspora, the door is open wider than it's ever been. But can Africa really be that place? Can it be more than just a symbol and actually offer the security, the dignity, and power that we've been denied in the West? We're going to break it down. But first, a big welcome to all of our new subscribers and members. I am so glad you're here. And if you're watching and haven't joined us yet, please consider this your personal invitation. Because here at Panagenius TV, we're not just building a channel. We're creating a global home for Black stories that are told with truth, with intention, and with power. And if that speaks to you, and I hope it does, then hit subscribe and tap the bell for alerts. Also, consider joining our membership community or dropping a super thanks to support our channel and help us remain independent and unapologetic. Also, follow me on all my socials at Sandra Babu-Boateng and subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, Sandra Babu-Boateng, to hear more from me, including exclusive interviews and coverage from events that I'm attending around the world. All right, now, let's get into it. So let's start at the root. When slavery ended in the United States in 1865, our ancestors didn't walk into freedom. They walked into survival. Because emancipation didn't come with land. No, it didn't come with reparations. And it definitely didn't come with safety. In fact, in many places, things got worse. Black folks were technically free, but they were still terrorized, still hunted, still cheated out of land, out of labor, and legacy. They went from slavery straight into sharecropping, from the plantation into prison, from forced labor into Jim Crow. And through all of it, they were told, "You're American now. This is your home." But how can you call something home when it never loved you back? That's the question that drove early Black leaders like Martin Delany, Henry McNeil Turner, and of course, Marcus Garvey to ask, what if we went back? Not because we hated America, right? But because America never stopped showing us how little it valued Black life. These leaders weren't just thinking about geography. They were thinking about power. They saw Africa as a place where Black people could finally be in control of our own destiny, where we could build economies, lead governments, write our own stories on our own terms. Even the founding of Liberia in the 1800s was part of this vision, a place meant to be a home for freed Black Americans, though that story is complicated and painful in its own right. But the point is this idea isn't new. It's been with us for centuries. This longing for a land where we could be without fear. And so here we are in 2025, and we're still asking, where is home? Truly. Because even today, with all the degrees, the wealth, the influence, Black people in America are still facing the same old systems, just dressed in modern clothes. So maybe the question isn't just what freedom looks like. Maybe the question is, where can we finally build it?
Today, we are here to talk to some of the key stakeholders in the tourism industry here in Ghana. We're going to talk to people who manage hotels, restaurants. Have the numbers really been increasing? Are there really people coming because of Year of Return? Let's find out as we talk to everyone today.
The Year of Return certainly has increased the numbers of people who would come. And we're talking about people at all levels. You're talking about people who are famous, actors, actresses, other people in positions that normally we wouldn't see them, not in those kind of numbers.
During Panafest, we actually had people coming over on a bus and stuff like that. I think it's really helped a lot of businesses around here, and we haven't done badly with them too.
It's been one of the greatest ideas for the past decade. When it comes to my industry, if you look at the Year of Return, the impact it has had on my hotel specifically, I mean, it's great. Some of the months we are doing twice the figure we had last year.
Twice the figure?
Yeah, in fact, last month, I'm very certain that we will do 3 times what we had last year.
Now let's talk about what's happening on the other side of the ocean. Because while we've been fighting for space and survival in the West, something powerful has been brewing on the continent. In 2019, Ghana launched what they called the Year of Return, an invitation, open and intentional, calling Black people from across the diaspora to come home, and not just to visit, but to invest, to reconnect, to belong. And it worked, because that year alone, nearly 1 million people visited Ghana, many for the first time in their lives, talking celebrities, entrepreneurs, educators, people who had never set foot on African soil, but felt something shift the moment they did. And since then, more countries have joined the wave. Rwanda has offered investment visas. Sierra Leone and Benin are granting citizenship to those who can trace their ancestry back. Senegal, Namibia, Gambia, they're all rolling out policies to welcome us back. And it's not just about nostalgia or roots tourism, no. It's about economic strategy. These governments are realizing that the African diaspora, especially Black Americans, hold billions in spending power, global influence, and a deep desire to build something that matters. And for many of us in the West, that's a tempting offer. Now let's be honest. Some of us, we're tired of code switching, tired of glass ceilings, tired of being the only one in every room, tired of watching our kids grow up in systems that were never designed to protect them. So the idea of moving to a place where you're not a minority, where your skin isn't a threat, where your very existence isn't a protest, that's powerful. Now, don't get me wrong, Africa is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There are real challenges: bureaucracy, infrastructure gaps, corruption, even internal tribal and ethnic tensions. But let's not act like the West doesn't have its own dysfunction. It just wears a suit and calls itself a democracy. The truth is, Africa offers something the West never has: the opportunity to be fully human, fully seen, and fully in charge on your own land. So yes, the door is open. But the bigger question is, will we walk through it?
For some Black Americans, Ghana is more than a holiday destination.
This is very busy, hustle and bustle. Right down the street is Oxford Street, the main street where people go out. Yeah.
Ghana's economy is attracting young people who are searching for more than their identity.
My name is Voltaire Exodus, and I'm a consultant, and I'm a founder of the company We Up. I've been here 5 weeks, and when I hit the ground, I really tried to build my network as much as possible, going out to different spaces and events.
You are new in Ghana, you're not really familiar with the African print, so I'm trying to combine things that you can wear and then wear in Ghana and wear it out there.
But why would someone who has never even visited Ghana before choose to move there?
For me, being in business, it's an opportunity to be a part of creating a city and a country that's emerging. So living in the US, all of the seats are taken, all the big brands are there, and where here, the cement is wet, and you have an opportunity to create a seat at the table.
I made the decision to move to Ghana for a few reasons. I had 2 young children, and they were being raised in America, and I didn't want them to be overly Americanized. I wanted them to have a strong association with their African roots, their Ghanaian roots. So it was a plan of mine to structure my life in a way that, as opposed to having to be in New York, I have to be in America because my children are in school. I enrolled them in school so that I had to be in Ghana the majority of the time, and it became the center point of their life. So it was always a desire of mine to raise my children, to live here in Ghana, to be much more comfortable, living in Ghana than I was. I had to learn how to live here at an adult age. My advice to diasporians considering coming back home: I've scarcely met anyone, whether they're even African diasporians or even foreigners who come here, who don't leave with a very deep sense of change, normally positive change, and normally a desire to be here. And it's not easy. If you are inclined to look for a job, don't come. But if you are entrepreneurial minded, you have skill set that you can share, technology that you can transfer, if you have a way to utilize the abundant raw materials that we have here, we have an abundance of so many things that you can't easily find outside. And if you're able to create a business that utilizes what we have here and exports it for, foreign exchange, that sort of thing, you could position yourself for a very positive life. And for me, as a Black mother, I love America. I have always loved America, but at some point, America stopped loving me and stopped loving my children, and I could feel it in the policies and activities that were happening. So I moved myself away from whatever perceived conveniences there are in America to, protect us from the very obvious ill. So it's a question of what's your priority. My children's life is paramount to me. And I would want them to be in an environment where they feel at home, they feel welcome, they feel protected by the laws and by, the society. So for me, if those things are important to you and you're a Black person still living in the diaspora, don't be afraid to come in and figure out what you can do here, because the opportunities are limitless. There's so little that we have here that there's an opportunity for you to come and create it if you are that way motivated. So my advice would be take a visit, come home, look around, ask good questions, get good advice.
Now, here's the thing. This can't just be a homecoming, right? This has to be a power move. Because the truth is, freedom isn't just about where you live. It's about what you own, what you control, and whether or not you get to shape your own future. Right now, Africa is home to some of the fastest growing economies in the world. It has the youngest population on the planet. By 2050, 1 in every 4 people on Earth will be African. Yes. And yet the continent still imports more than it produces, exports raw materials instead of finished goods, and relies on foreign aid instead of building collective power. So imagine this. What if Black people from across the world brought our skills, our capital, our tech, our ideas, and helped change that? What if we built factories instead of just visiting resorts? What if we funded schools, not just safaris, formed alliances, built supply chains, created policy think tanks, financed the next wave of innovation? We're not just talking about a better life for a few people looking to escape the West. We're talking about building Black global power from the ground up. Because here's the truth. We will never be fully free in systems that we didn't design. That's why we're always playing catch up. That's why we're always asking for access instead of owning the building. That's why every seat at the table still comes with a set of rules that we didn't write. But if we start building our own tables rooted in African soil, connected to diaspora capital, and driven by a pan-African, pan-global Black vision, now we're not just free, we're powerful. And that's what this moment could be. This isn't about abandoning the West. It's about expanding our possibilities. Because when you've been denied ownership for so long, the most revolutionary thing you can do is build something your people can own forever.
Do you feel that because of your accent, sometimes people want to take advantage of you?
I would say that sometimes that is true, but it's not just true for African Americans. I think it's true for anyone that has an American or UK accent, even if they're Ghanaian. When we're talking about Ghana, Ghana is a country that has a population of over 30 million people. There are maybe 10,000 African Americans. We're an extreme minority. So I think that sometimes we're used as a scapegoat, and that is misplaced.
Do you feel this because I know that you run your own business and setting it up, was it easy for you?
If you are Ghanaian, you can set up the business for like 1,000 to 2,000 CDs. But if you are coming from outside, they're telling him, bring in $500,000. Now we'll set up, you can set up a business as the sole, owner. That is not, very easy, for anyone. If we're not having a very deep analysis of what's going on, they play Black people against other Black people. So just to the point, we need to understand that we're all Black people and we have very common genotype, common phenotype, and a common thrust for survival that we need to have, as opposed to divide and conquer. Let's play those Asantes against the Fantes, Bloods versus Crips. They do it every single place.
Now listen, before we all pack our bags and book one-way tickets, let's be clear. This isn't a fairy tale. And Africa is not a blank canvas waiting for the diaspora to save it. Too often we show up with good intentions but unrealistic expectations. Let's be real. Thinking we'll land, be instantly embraced, and start building empires overnight. But that's not how this works. Africa is complex, very complex. It has its own histories, politics, power struggles, and pain. And while we may feel deeply connected through ancestry and culture, we're also strangers in many ways. We speak differently, we think differently, we've been shaped by different systems. So if we want to return, we have to return with humility, not as saviors, not as tourists, not as outsiders trying to lead before we've even learned. That means respecting local customs, listening before launching, partnering with people who've been on the ground, doing the work long before we showed up. It also means being real about the challenges, right? Corruption is still real. Infrastructure is uneven, and bureaucracy can move at a snail's pace. And in some countries, dual citizenship, land ownership, and residency laws are still stuck in colonial era mindsets. So no, this isn't about romanticizing Africa. It's about reimagining what's possible when we come together with strategy, patience, and yes, respect. Because if we just go over there with vibes and vision boards, we just repeat the same patterns that broke us in the first place. But if we go with skill, with purpose, and with a commitment to building with, not just on, then Africa won't just be a place we visit, it can become a place where we thrive. So now that we've laid it all out, the history, the opportunity, and the reality, let's talk solutions. Because it's not enough to just feel inspired, right? We need a blueprint. If we want Africa to be the homeland that completes the story of Juneteenth, then we have to start thinking beyond symbolism and start moving like builders. Here's what that looks like. Number one, we need to push for policy. Yes, diaspora engagement has to go beyond tourism. We need clear, accessible pathways to dual citizenship, land ownership, business visas, and investment protections. If you're serious about going back, start lobbying the embassies of these countries. Engage with diaspora desks. Join task forces. Make your voice count. And number two, we need to build investment bridges, right? Create or contribute to diaspora-led investment funds. We're talking real estate, agribusiness, tech, media, healthcare, industries that move nations. We don't just need feel-good campaigns. We need infrastructure, ownership, and long-term returns. And number three, we need to support diaspora collaboration. No one person or platform can do this alone. We need think tanks, storytelling hubs, skills exchanges, and Black global institutions that connect our people across borders. Let's stop competing for scraps and start co-creating abundance for us, for our people, for our communities. And number four, we need to show up locally, even from afar. If you can't move just yet, support organizations on the ground, mentor entrepreneurs, share your skills, fund local schools, sponsor training programs. You don't have to be in Africa to be for Africa. And number five, we need to make this bigger than you and I, because we're not just building a life, we're building legacy. The choices we make now will determine whether our children inherit freedom or just more fight. So my people, where do we go from here? Juneteenth isn't just about the day we were freed. It's about the freedom we still haven't claimed. True liberation means having power over your future, your land, your economy, your narrative. And if we can't get that in the West, then maybe, just maybe, it's time we think about building it somewhere else. Africa won't fix everything, no, but it might be the place where we can finally build something that's fully ours. So I'll leave you with this thought. If our ancestors crossed oceans in chains, then what's stopping us from crossing oceans in purpose? Let me know in the comments. Would you ever move to or invest in Africa? Have you already? What's your experience been like? What would need to happen to make this dream feel real for you, for us, for our community? And if this episode stirred something in you, like, comment, and share it with your folks, huh? Let's have this conversation together. Because freedom didn't end with Juneteenth. It begins with what we do next. And so, thanks for watching. However you celebrate this day, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you remember how far we've come, but also how far we have to go. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Sandra, Babu-Boateng, and until next time, take care. Hey you! Thanks so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and join the family. Also, visit face2faceafrica.com for your daily news and updates on what's going on within the global Black community so you can stay informed.
Unpacking.